me!
What are you doing?
Help me!
Joe, the pack's wasted! It's over!
What is wrong with you? We can still do this!
Jesus Christ, listen to yourself! You're obsessed!
You've never seen what that thing can do, so don't talk to me about it! You've never seen it! You've never seen it miss this house, and miss that house, and come after you!
Christ, Joe, is that what you think it did?
Oh, no.
Jesus, Joe, why can't you just forget it?
You don't understand, okay? You'll never know.
When's it gonna be enough, huh? How close do you have to get? Talk to me! Joe, things go wrong. You can't explain it. You can't predict it. Killing yourself won't bring your dad back. Sorry he died, but it was a long time ago. You gotta move on. Stop living in the past and look at what you got right in front of you.
What are you saying?
Me, Joe.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Oh, man, I love this movie.
Oh, so good.
Love it. Everybody out there, listeners, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott.
And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay. So, Pete, we're doing another movie from 1996 because we did Scream last week.
Yes, we did.
And we are doing Twister.
Oh, my God.
Also, that came out in 1996, released May 6th, 1996, directed by Jan de Bont, starring Helen Hunt,
Love it.
Bill Paxton, Jamie Gertz, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Todd Field.
Oh, my God. So many people.
So many great people. And we had old friends of ours from the podcast. You might remember them from our Never Been Kissed episode.
Yes, indeed.
Amy Fox and Jessica Granger.
Yay. Welcome back to the show, I should say.
Welcome back to the show. We are not with you in person, but via satellite, because you guys are in Montana.
Oh, my goodness.
How are you guys holding up in this time?
Pretty well.
I think it's been great. We've been having a lot of fun, actually, watching a lot of movies and playing pinball. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's actually been a lot of fun.
You have a pinball machine?
It's a tabletop one that is
cool.
put together with cardboard.
Nice.
Target pinball.
Love
It's
it.
red.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm going to buy one.
I saw your camping trip that you were on last week. That looked like a lot of fun. I was
Oh my
jealous
God,
of that.
we found the best spot. It was great.
Yeah. Right next to the water. Nobody anywhere near us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Well, we're not in tornado season, so you didn't have to worry about that.
Yes.
Is it technically tornado season, though? In Tornado Alley, though? Isn't tornado season I don't know. Midsummer?
Yeah, it is.
Ooh.
It's
scary.
okay. So I'm trying to draw on my Montana knowledge, or not?
Yeah.
Sorry, my Oklahoma knowledge.
Sure.
Because all of my family is from Oklahoma and lives in Oklahoma,
which is where this movie is set.
It's midsummer through fall.
Yeah,
Midsummer through fall.
So they've already had a huge storm down there where they had grapefruit-sized hail, which destroyed roofs and broke out windows and stuff. So
wow.
Woo.
That sounds crazy.
Okay, so since we're doing the movie Twister, do you two remember summer of 1999, the tornado that went through our hometown of Lewistown? Because I remember it. It was a big deal.
It was awful. So before that, I was terrified of tornadoes because of all of my storm movies, but then I fell in love with them.
Now, do any of you remember what number tornado it was on the famed Fujita scale?
Maybe a 1 or 2.
Hey, it knocked down that one dude's house.
Yeah.
So
my parents called it a microburst. I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure. Like, it wasn't quite like a full tornado, but it was sort of like in between.
Yeah.
Like blowing winds and tornado.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I actually have I have a fun tornado story. So when my mom was pregnant with my sister, she was in the middle of a tornado because, like I said, we're all from Oklahoma. And, she went to go and get into the shelter, and they had already closed the door to the shelter.
Oh my God.
And so she was standing out there pregnant, banging on the door, trying to get them to hear her yelling to let her in over the sound of the tornado.
Wow.
I mean, obviously they did, but that's the only tornado story I have in my family.
That's
That
pretty
is
significant.
that is a scene out of the
Yeah.
opening of this movie, probably.
That's full on like Dorothy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Dorothy had to go and like hide in her bedroom and got hit on the head.
We got a twister.
Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like where we're from, it's just sort of on the edge of Tornado Alley. It's like you get them in eastern Montana, but they're not. You don't see them all that much, but you do see them though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. More
But-
recently a 10.
Wow.
Big ones. Yeah.
So I really wanted to do this movie just because I feel like this movie has a very specific cult status, especially with the gay community. Like gay men, I feel like if you ask them about this movie, if
And
you're
women.
out at a bar, and gay women, you will
Oh,
just
absolutely.
get people raving about how iconic Helen Hunt is in this movie. Would you two agree?
My first crush ever, and still my forever crush.
As Joe in this movie or just in general?
Well, my first introduction was as Joe in this
Okay.
movie. And then now in general,
Yeah.
I would die to see her. I would take that twister for her. I love her
Oh
so
my God.
much.
This is the second appearance from Helen Hunt on our podcast.
Yes, we
She
did.
appeared on Girls Just Want to Have
Girls Just Wanna
Fun.
Have Fun.
And I like to think this is in, Pete, I'd like to think this is in the cinematic universe of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. That this is after Lynn Stone
Oh my God.
finished DTV as the
Okay.
new Ricky, and she
Sure.
became a
tornado
a
chaser?
storm chaser.
Okay.
Or is this what Helen Hunt's character did when Tom Hanks was marooned on that island?
Yes.
He was
All of
cast.
the above,
He
yes.
cast away, so she decided, I'm starting a new life
I'm going to go chase tornadoes
with Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
Okay.
Yes.
Bill
I
Paxton.
think that's pretty accurate.
Works for me.
Bill Paxton serving major DILF vibes in this movie too.
This is true. Yeah, so I mean, Helen Hunt in this movie, I feel like does Joe have a last name? We'll figure it out. But I feel like her character of Joe the Tornado Hunter in this movie, to me, I always kind of saw her as not necessarily like a lesbian character or like a coded gay character, but I definitely saw that like gay girls would fully just be like, oh yeah, this bitch.
Oh.
This is the one.
Yes.
Especially like before you knew you were gay.
Yeah.
It was like, so that's who I want to be like.
Yeah.
I want to be just like Dr. Joe Harding.
Joe
I
Harding.
even chased
Harding.
tornadoes for a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh my God,
Me
did you
and
really?
my little pre-gay self, I was 10 in 96, and I was like, God, I really like her the way that she's dressing. Like, I really like that white tank top
Yeah.
coveralls, like
some
pulled
like
down and
some
tied
like
around
cargo
the
pants,
waist.
and you're ready to
Look,
go.
that's nice.
Yeah, I love it.
She has that sweet Jeep.
That
Oh,
What did we figure out
Jeep
that
truck,
Jeep
yeah.
is?
Okay,
that they
so
wreck in the movie.
So we looked it up. It's a 1983 Jeep pickup truck. When he Googled, Helen Hunt's car from Twister, 1983 Jeep pickup comes up. So I Googled that even further, and it's called a Jeep Honcho, which is like the gayest
Oh,
name for a car
nice.
ever.
Jeep HONCHO, which so fits her character.
And she's been driving around this Honcho since '83 as a storm
yeah.
chaser. It took her full on like 13 years to finally wreck it.
Exactly.
That thing's
Yeah.
a beast.
Yeah. And it was Bill Paxton who drove it into the ditch. I feel
Oh.
like if
Actually,
Joe was
she did- I
driving,
was just gonna say, she did not wreck it.
when he ran into that
He
bridge,
did.
when I ran into that bridge, I'm like, "Fuck, Bill Paxton."
Yeah.
Did you really have to take out the front end of that truck?
But if you look
No
at the front,
airbags.
if you look at the front
no.
end after it ran in, like it still held up pretty well, even though it
totally.
had just run into a bridge.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
it was still all in one piece. I love it.
yeah, that's 80s build for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love the idea that, when you're a certain age, like queer kid, and you're not really sure about what's going on, and you don't really put a name or a label on it yourself, but you see these characters that you're just like, I really dig that. I really dig that person and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's something where, like you guys were saying, like, that's what I want to be, you know?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
You know, Scott in the Scream episode was talking about having pictures of, like, Neve Campbell on the wall and, like, Buffy Summers and being like, these are my crushes.
Yeah.
But really, like, later on, they're just, like, divas that we love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I remember that Scott and I used to talk about Sarah Michelle Gellar in like
Oh, yes.
7th grade.
I'm sure that it was probably
like.
during art class or something, or like English. Probably
Yep.
talking about what was happening on like season 3 of Buffy.
Yeah, because I was reading the books at the
Oh, I
time
love
with
it.
the photograph inserts.
I remember us trading books of Buffy the Vampire
Yes.
Slayer. Like, I want to
Yes.
say in 8th grade science.
were they
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Yeah.
Beautiful color photos.
full
in the
color
middle of it.
photos right in the center of the book? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and I feel like right now, something about, like, it's one of those things where, you know, I took my brother, I'm a little bit older than everybody here, so I took my brother, who's about your guys' age, to the theater to see this movie in 96. We were actually on a family vacation in Laughlin, Nevada.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and there was nothing for us to do because we were kids, so I took him to the movies and we saw Twister. And I immediately liked it because it was like, you know, from the people that brought you Jurassic Park and Michael
Jurassic-
Crichton and
Written by Michael Crichton
Yeah.
and directed by Jan de Bont, who was hot off of Speed.
yes.
He left pre-production of Godzilla to make this
Oh,
movie.
interesting.
Because I want to say that he
really?
was going around over budget issues with Godzilla, so he
Sure.
left the movie to film this for Amblin.
Sure. And like me seeing it at the time as a teenager, I just went into it like, you know, the special effects and the sound effects and all this stuff. And then I see Helen Hunt. I'm like, she's amazing. The soundtrack is kind of crazy. It's a little VH1 for me, but you know, it's good. And I just, we bought the tape like at Costco or something, like the VHS, and like we had that. And it's one of those things that like me and my brother would watch it all the time, and I just have this memory of this movie. And then Scott like fully just loves it, and it's just kind of creeping in every now and then to conversation. And I guess like everybody freaking loves this movie, and I had no clue. So
Yeah. Yeah, I read something recently. I don't know, and I mean, Scott, you'll be able to tell me if this is true because you know
Sure.
everything about movies that's ever been made ever. But wasn't Twister the #1 movie in 1996?
I mean, at the
Probably.
time, it was one of Warner Brothers' most successful movies that they had ever made.
yeah,
So it grossed worldwide $495 million worldwide.
Huh.
And for like mid-90s numbers, that's pretty good.
sure.
I would imagine
Yeah.
adjusted for inflation, that probably hits around like 700.
Yeah.
So everyone that we know has seen this movie.
Yes.
Everyone in our age, everything has seen
Yeah.
this movie. And I know that Amy was giving me shit about this, but I had the soundtrack to Twister.
I listened
And
to the soundtrack
and she posted
on the
about
reg.
this like on Facebook, and Scott's like, "Oh yeah, I also had that soundtrack."
Love it.
I was like, "Yes, validation. Someone else besides me has this."
I mean, this soundtrack has some like bangers from the Goo Goo Dolls on it.
Yeah.
Our
Tori
friend
Amos.
Tori Amos.
Another reason that this is like it's just missing like what was her name with like the crazy Ani DeFranco?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
She needed to be on this somewhere.
Ani
Was on
DeFranco
this.
was already booked for My Best Friend's Wedding soundtrack.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she had prior commitments.
True, true.
But you know what's funny about this movie is that I have younger coworkers who are probably 20, 21 years old, and I remember just at work us talking about Twister, and they were just like, never seen it. So there
Yeah.
are generations of people that are like sort of millennials now that
Yeah.
don't really have a context for it. Like they were way too young when it came out in 96.
Well, I think with the like 90s like boom that's going on right now, you know, you don't see like a Twister t-shirt like at Target or Hot Topic, you know?
No.
next to like the Jurassic
people are
Park.
getting together to have Twister parties,
Right.
And they're not.
Which they should. I mean, but I feel like it's probably because it didn't start off like a franchise. Like Jurassic Park had like 1 million movies. Friends was like 10 seasons. You know, all these like 90s, you know, throwbacks that are big right now. There's a lot for everybody to latch on to. And, you know, Jurassic Park had kids in it and like all this stuff. And Twister was, I don't know, maybe it was more like a grown-up movie or something. But it's not being part of the like 90s reboot club. So if there was like, I don't know, maybe I would buy a Twister t-shirt if I saw it at Target or Hot Topic.
Yeah.
It would just be the poster, I guess.
I just want
The
that
VHS
image of that reveal of Jo when she sees the Bill Paxton character. And it's that...
His name's also Bill.
Bill. Oh,
Yeah.
oh wow, I forgot. So when she sees Bill and she's like working on something on her truck,
Yeah.
and you get that like upward reveal of her.
Yes.
And she has this beautiful blonde feathered hair.
See, no, I would. Again, like there are a lot of movies that I'm like, I would pay serious money to see a lesbian remake of this.
Yes.
Like, I feel like Twister is already 3/4 of the way.
It's almost
into being
there.
a lesbian remake.
Yeah.
Like,
You could easily gender swap the Bill character.
oh yeah, I mean, you've got Helen Hunt and all of her amazing soft butch glory with
Yeah.
the long hair and that coverall and the white tank top, and and everyone else in her little crew is fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
And so all they need is to replace Bill Pullman with a woman, and it's
Sure.
Even the Jamie Gertz character, it could be a lipstick lesbian. She's like a...
She's so a lipstick lesbian. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like,
And like,
the
what is her
white
job?
suit.
That cream suit that she wears the entire movie. This like beautiful. Okay, you know what the hair is? What I decided the hair is. Jamie Gert's hair is Celine Dion at the Academy Awards for Titanic.
Sure.
When
Yeah.
she wore the blue dress with the Heart of the Ocean diamond
Which
on it.
Yes.
it only would have
She-
been like a year and a half later.
Yeah,
So.
she had that exact Jamie Gert's haircut. And let me just
Yep.
say this about Melissa. My favorite character in the movie.
I feel
I
really
love
bad.
Melissa.
I feel really bad for Melissa, and I think it's one of those roles that could go either shrewish or
Yeah.
bitchy really easy. Because I almost think that it kind of reads like that on the page.
Yeah.
But I think Jamie is just playing her so likable, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
sort of you're sometimes on her side. You're like,
she gets such a raw deal throughout this movie. Like
she does.
there are so many spots where I would have just been like, okay, wait a minute. No.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the hotel. This is cute. Have fun.
Yeah.
Call me when you're done.
I respect her so much for having heard the interaction between Bill and Jo on the radio, and then being like, you know what, this is a boundary I'm setting for myself. Like, I can't do this. You are obviously in love with your ex. Like, I'm just going to go back.
Yeah.
Like, this wouldn't have worked anyway. Like, she set a boundary for herself,
Yeah.
and she let Bill know, which obviously he was never going to talk to her about it, because he's like, oh, no, don't leave. But,
Yeah.
like, he had just basically professed his love for Jo, like, a scene earlier, but plays the victim in this instance. I'm like, no, she recognizes her worth, and she's
Yeah.
like, no, thank you. I'm going to go find someone who appreciates me and my intelligence for me.
Yes, indeed. Excellent. And well, she is a therapist. She's a reproductive therapist. So she knows
Who
a little.
violates HIPAA left and right.
and is just on call 24/7. Apparently,
She's dropping patients' names,
Oh, yeah.
their circumstances, discussing, like, doing therapy in front of other people. And me being a nursing student, like, the first thing I thought rewatching this was like, God, that is a huge violation of HIPAA.
That's amazing and also true.
Yeah.
But I love that, like, okay, it's 1996. So the fact that she has a cell phone and is available and on call to this, like, ragtag group of, like, we don't have a 9-to-5 job. We don't answer to the man. We're just a bunch of, like, hippies and, like, freaks and whatever. So she is obviously like corporate America and, you know, total square and all that. But I love that the whole idea is just, they're just like, oh, you're like a doctor, you're like a reproductive health therapist, like you help people to have children when they have like no other options. You fucking nerd. It's so rude.
Yeah.
Right?
So
And,
rude.
like, meanwhile, they're like, we're all about the science.
Yeah.
We don't have corporate sponsorship
Yeah.
because we're all about the science.
Yeah.
And then here's this woman who was like, I am all about the science and helping people. And they're like, yeah, like, fuck you.
Yeah. It's like so
And your
awful.
green suit.
Oh my god. We have to talk about this whole like idea of the fact that there is this rival group that is about corporate sponsorships and all that stuff. So where are heroes getting their money from? Did they say something about grants?
It would have to be like a grant from a
From, like,
college
yeah,
or something.
are they like in-
no.
Are they all still in
Yeah.
college?
I mean, yeah, it has to be like a low level grant from somewhere to get
Yeah.
all that satellite and computer equipment.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they are running on non-Wi-Fi capability.
Yeah.
It's all off the satellite.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to have some kind of money.
Yeah.
But obviously not nearly as much as the guys who are all outfit in, I don't know what make and model all of the black vehicles
Those
are
minivans.
in, but I know it's not Dodge because Dodge has
Oh yeah.
specific rights to the red truck. So.
I think that was a really nice Dodge pickup.
I did research on that Dodge because as I remember it when I was a little kid, I remember my dad saying something about this is like a 2-hour-long Dodge commercial.
It kind of is.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
And so I looked it up.
'Cause it was a
and
Ram.
actually, there is legitimacy to that because in '93, so actually like '93 going into '94, and it was a '95 Dodge truck in the movie.
Sure.
Like they had just remade the Dodge. They'd put that new style on the front end that made it look more like a long haul truck, and they
Yeah.
put that grill on there. So that was them like promoting their new body style, like new high-powered engine, all that stuff. And actually, like in that year, Dodge tripled their sales from previous
my
years.
God.
I could see why. So they
Yeah,
got the truck before it was available to the public then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, so my friend Joe, who I call him my gay dad because like, he's a writer for Auto Trader. I'm sure he's going to be contacting me to tell me the exact specs of everything about that Dodge truck. But that's what I found in my research before coming on the podcast. So,
I believe
yeah.
is it a Dodge Ram? Is it a Ram truck?
Yes,
Yeah.
It is a Dodge Ram truck.
Yeah, and those things are gigantic.
Yeah.
And okay, so the whole backstory about Bill Paxton's character, I think his name is Bill because I feel like Jamie Gertz calls him Billy.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
So his whole backstory is that he was part of the ragtag group of like crunchy hippie, storm chasers, and then he left to get a job being a weatherman, and everybody is just like, "Oh, you're a sellout" or whatever.
Corporate sellout.
Yeah, but even Carrie Elways is just like, oh, like I enjoyed your last weather report. So like even he's talking shit about him being a weatherman.
Yeah, like it's faux science, like meteorology is
I mean,
faux
I
science.
think it's just the
basically.
idea that he's just reading off a teleprompter.
He's not out there doing
And
the
he's
real
not
work.
out there, like,
Yeah.
putting his, like, sleeves up and chasing tornadoes.
But I'd be like, you know what? Y'all can suck it because I just rolled up in the $70,000 Dodge Ram truck.
Yeah, exactly.
So eat it.
Bill has, like,
There's
a
no
retirement
purpose.
going on with the TV station.
Yeah.
He has, like, a pension.
He's set, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty truck.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
As Helen Hunt says.
I, I also remember when she goes, you got insurance on that thing?
You got full coverage?
You got full coverage? And he goes, liability only. And I'm like, the only way you can get liability only is if your car's paid off. That car was brand fucking new. He paid cash for like a $70,000 ride.
Right? I thought that too. I was like, how do you have liability only on this brand new Dodge Ram pickup?
And why would you?
Right?
Why? Yeah.
It was implied that he paid cash cash for it because now he's a corporate sellout.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he had the money to pay for it, so he just paid
Money
cash.
to pay cash.
Yeah.
And then you can choose that option.
Yeah.
I love that I'm not the only person who like heard that and was just like, wait a minute. I've purchased a new vehicle before.
Yes. Mine is 3 years old, and I have full coverage on it because I have a lot of payments left on that car.
Right? Yeah. So he comes back to, get the divorce papers signed.
Because Joe doesn't want to pretty much send it to him or getting him like curried. They want Bill to come and pick up the papers.
Yeah, she can't like curry them to him. So she does this sneaky thing because we see that she's wearing her wedding ring still.
Yes.
And she does this sneaky thing where she takes off like this gigantic like college ring or something. And puts it on her wedding ring finger to like cover it up. Like, this will disguise it.
It's a different ring.
This is my class ring.
Yeah. Like, who's wearing this giant college? I'm assuming it's a college ring. There are college rings. That's a thing?
Yes.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Same company as
Jostens?
I mean, they're all a scam.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, I hope it's a college ring because it would be even weirder if it was a high school ring.
high school
Unless
ring.
it was like her dad's high school ring or something.
Yeah.
But then But then she'd be wearing it on a
On a
ball
necklace.
link
Sure.
chain,
Necklace.
like with dog tags, which she would probably have underneath her.
Typically.
Yeah. So I am going to ruin a little bit of movie drama
Sure.
for everybody because I've been divorced in the past. So if someone is refusing to sign paperwork, all you have to do is file a petition with the court saying that you can't reach them, and then they put an ad in the paper for I think like 14 days.
Oh,
and
wow.
if no one responds to it, then you're just automatically divorced.
But
Wow.
was that a thing back then?
Yeah.
It has to
it's
be because
always
that's like a super old timey kind of a law. Like that sounds like,
Yeah.
well, if you say it 3 times out loud in a public square, then you're divorced.
Yeah.
Your marriage timed out, and if this timed
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this little plot device of her still wearing her wedding ring reminded me a lot of the James Cameron
The Abyss?
classic The Abyss.
Yeah.
With Ed Harris and
Isn't Bill Paxton in it? I'm just assuming that Bill Paxton's in it. 'cause
he's
it's
actually not.
it's a
It's
Jim
one of the
Cameron
James
movie.
Cameron movies he's not in. But Ed Harris is married to Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
another handsome woman.
Another
from the
handsome
80s.
woman. You may remember her as Maid Marian in Robin Hood, Prince of Tides. And but the whole thing is they have a very similar dynamic that they are exes, they were married, but now they hate each other. But he still keeps his wedding ring on. But James Cameron, being the master screenwriter that he is, writes it into the story, and that it's like this kind of like titanium wedding ring, and they're on this like oil rig underwater, and these like hydraulic doors close, and Ed Harris jams his hand in the door, and it can't close because of the titanium wedding ring, and it like saves the day. And it's like becomes this whole plot point, and he like kisses the wedding ring, and then eventually they fall in love, like towards the end of this movie. But they have a very similar dynamic to
and I
these
feel
two
like
characters.
Bill didn't do that, like what you're saying, Jessica, because he's still hung up on her. So I think there is a part of Bill
I
that
agree.
does want to see her face to face.
Yeah,
too.
they drove all the way out there to the middle of who knows where to go find them. So they're probably just
And I
like,
also
let's
think
just get
there's
this
a
done.
part of Bill that still wants to relive his glory days as a storm
Oh,
chaser.
of course.
I agree.
Because this whole thing with Dorothy, they'd been working on. I guess
Yeah.
unbeknownst to him, they're finished with it.
Yeah.
And, they have it ready to go. And I think that was just
And
another...
4 versions are ready to go.
I think metaphorically, like these big tornadoes reigniting the old flame.
Oh, there you
Yes.
go.
Totally,
I love that.
right? Yeah, finishing
Yeah.
the story on it.
See, and like a lesser script would have written it in there that it was like Melissa, like leading the charge of like, you get that signed,
Yep,
But-
exactly.
I feel like what they did with her, and also it kind of reminded me a little bit of like My Best Friend's Wedding. Remember, like, okay, he's engaged to Cameron Diaz, and you're like, but I love Julia, and I want him to be with Julia. But then Cameron Diaz is so nice and so cute that you're just like, but I don't hate her. Like,
you can't hate her.
Yeah, and Julia Roberts is kind of the asshole throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
But
It's very similar.
It is very similar, except for you just can't hate Helen Hunt.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
that's true. That's true.
She's so kind, and she tries to make that conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Bill's kind of the asshole then.
This is true. Bill is kind of like, that's a weird situation because, like, maybe he should have just never have gone in the first place.
I do love that Melissa does confront her in the cafe, and Helen Hunt's just like, check please. very early in the movie, she's just like, you're still in love with him, straight out to her face. I love that.
Yeah, and I do love the Helen Hunt like class act there, where she doesn't engage.
Yes.
And Jamie Gertz doesn't get like super bitchy and dramatic. She's basically just like, this is what I know, and Helen Hunt is like, okay, well, I'm going to pay for your coffee or lemonades or whatever, and then we're going to go, and then we're just going to leave this at that.
Because she got the answer from the reaction to her saying.
Yeah.
And
non-reaction answer, for sure.
And this is also the scene where we kind of get a glimpse at Bill's kind of like true personality, whereas he interrupts like a live newscast to go beat up
to go beat up
and
Princess Bride.
Yeah, and it's like I get that he stole your idea and you came up with this, this machine or whatever, but it's like, hold your horses, dude. Like, really?
Yeah.
You're going to do this on film, like on live TV, so they can fully like throw you in jail for assaulting someone. Maybe take a step back. Count to 10.
Well, and the comment that I made to Amy when we were watching it was, I was like, this is pretty typical for female scientists, is you see a male with corporate sponsorship taking credit for their work.
Yeah,
sure. Which is why it works even better as a lesbian reader.
So I guess the idea is that Bill came up with the concept for Dorothy, but Joe actually
executed
it.
She
fucking built it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is pretty
that's
boss.
good. Yeah. At least
cool.
they gave her that. We were checking IMDb as we were watching this, and we discovered that Melissa and Jamie Gertz and Helen Hunt, I should say, were like 30 and 31 years old when they made this, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Jamie Gertz was like 30 and Helen Hunt was like 31.
Oh my god, they look so much.
Well, and how old were so?
More
what was
mature.
that? The initial scene with Helen Hunt as a child. What year was that set in again?
62?
Yeah. I can't remember what the age or like
that
what
can't
the
be
year
right.
count
62 is too late. Like that would have made her.
I'm like,
that would have put her born in like the late 50s. That's not right.
Yes. Well, yeah. So because she was a small child, she was probably 6 or 7 in the basement there. So which would put her at like over her 30s in 1996.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
The filming would be like maybe with what they were filming in that sense, it would be like late 50s, early 60s. So that could fit if you weasel the numbers a little bit.
Like, there are no rules when it comes to actresses' actual age and the roles that they play. It's all kind of just a range.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, because at first when I was watching it, I was like, oh, like, they put a woman in her mid-30s as the protagonist in 1996. That's so awesome. So.
Yeah. I think that she was born in 65.
Yeah, I think so.
So...
So she's actually younger than the
character,
than they portray her to be, yeah.
Because I feel like the Super said 62. It could have said, I may be just crazy and on crack, and maybe it said 68, but it definitely was 60s. I know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was in the 60s.
And
yes.
I think it was earlier. So I think it was like 62, 63. So yeah, they aged her up, which is interesting. But I bought it. She reads, like you said, mid 30s in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy
And-
that Pete, she's only 9 years removed from Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yes. Girls Just Want to Have Fun was 9 years prior to this.
Around 85 or so.
So 11 years.
And she was on Mad About You as she was making the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
I read that she had to turn down Broken Arrow to do
Really?
Twister. She was supposed to be the Samantha Mathis character of Broken Arrow.
She made the right choice.
I know. I think she made the right choice on that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Twister was much bigger than Broken Arrow.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure. Okay, so we haven't talked nearly enough about the crazy gang that Helen Hunt has, working with her.
Okay, so we should probably go through all of them.
I mean, there's a lot.
So, but we'll do them quick. We should early movie appearance by Philip Seymour Hoffman. I think that he was pretty much just in the Dead Poets Society before this.
Wow.
As the gross, I don't even know what this guy does in this group. Philip Seymour Hoffman, I love you as an actor.
He's the caboose.
But yeah.
And they never really show his job. Because everybody has a specific thing that they do, right?
Yeah.
And
He's the cheerleader.
Yeah.
I love him. He's the cheerleader. He's got the great van. He's got the speaker with the music.
Oh my God.
All that good stuff.
Which is probably illegal to have a speaker on your car, on your vehicle.
Yeah,
Blaring
absolutely.
music.
Yeah.
Endless VHS recordings of concerts.
Yeah, he's just watching music videos and old concert footage. Maybe he's buying snacks for them. I don't know.
I love I think that they're the married couple, which is Todd Field. Yeah. Listeners, you might remember Todd Field as the blindfolded piano player from Eyes Wide Shut. He also directed the movie Little Children and In the Bedroom. Todd Field.
Okay.
I think he's super cute in this movie.
And he's always with the shorter only other woman in this movie.
Yeah.
And she's got glasses.
I think they're a couple.
Yeah, they seem to be a couple, and they do radar stuff.
Down. He needed to be protected in the last scene.
Oh,
Shaggy black hair. He was the one that ducked down in the van.
Not that guy. No,
that's the camera guy.
That's a different. We were talking about the guy who in the scene with the drive-in theater.
Yeah.
Who works with a storm chaser crew?
It's part of the
and is deathly afraid.
Inexplicably tries to hide in the bottom of a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Isn't it Jeremy Davis?
It is Jeremy Davies. He was in Lost. He is the camera. He runs a camera, so he films everything. Mm-hmm. That's his job. And he works with these storm chasers, and he's deathly afraid of tornadoes. Because there are several instances of him just being "Oh, we got to get out of here. We got to leave. It's coming. Shut up." Yeah. And then, he fully decides to get paralyzed in the front seat of a truck.
He's kind of he's kind of the Shaggy of the group.
The Shaggy. Is he a little stoned?
Who doesn't always know how to properly clean his camera lenses?
Sure,
because they have grass in them.
Yeah.
And that also shows another little bit of Joe business in that she kind of has a hand in everything. She even knows how to run the video cameras, the satellite stuff, all that. Mm-hmm. We also have Cameron Fry from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, whose only job in this movie can be replaced with an iPhone.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's very, very true. He's just a map reader. He can be replaced by Google Maps.
But you have to remember that you always roll. Yeah. You roll and you do not fold the maps.
Yeah, I don't know. Maps are usually folded in glove compartments.
Definitely, they're still folded.
He got some big bug up his ass about rolling the maps.
He doesn't like those creases, man.
But then when you unroll it, it wants to roll back up on itself, and you're in the front seat of a truck. That's not. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit too concerned about that.
Yeah.
One of our favorite characters is the pastor of the group,
Preacher,
who is the preacher of tornadoes.
Yeah. He's one that I don't know what he does.
Yeah, this is just. I don't even know what kind of a stock character this is.
He just listens to Wagner and, and gets cut across the forehead
yeah.
in the drive-in.
And like,
tornado.
and like his name's Preacher, and like he calls Bill the prodigal son, and like he like refers to tornadoes as like the finger of God. He's like this like spiritual like, but also probably just stoned out of his mind.
We have that clip of them talking about what type of tornadoes.
The clip where they describe the tornadoes to Jamie Gertz, and he calls it the finger of God.
I love this scene.
Let's take a listen.
No, that was a good-sized twister. What was that, an F3?
Solid F2.
See, now you've lost me again.
It's the Fujita scale. It measures the intensity of a tornado by how much it eats.
Eats?
Destroys.
Little encounter we had back there's a strong F2, F3 maybe.
Bet we see some F4s today.
That'd be sweet.
4 is good. 4 will relocate your house fairly efficiently.
Is there an F5? What would that be like?
The finger of God.
None of you have ever seen an F5?
Just one of us.
They're all looking upstairs.
As they look upstairs.
So I'm
Well,
such
she's showering.
So I'm such a fucking nerd, and I'm just like so square. But the song that is playing is a really good Lisa Loeb song that she wrote for the movie. So I would be the person.
I was just going to ask, what song is playing right
It's called
now?
"How" by Lisa Loeb in the 9 Stories, and I would be the one if I went to like a Lisa Loeb concert. I would be yelling out, "Play
the song from Twister.
Play How from Twister." But I love fucking Lisa Loeb, man, wrote this like love song about Bill and Joe for the movie, specifically about those two characters. That's just sort of a
and it's not called
throwaway.
Tornado of Love.
Yeah, that's just sort of this like
should be
just this sort of throwaway schlocky song of this movie.
Sure.
But it's so good though.
Yeah. It doesn't have like storm or tempest in the title.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember it from the soundtrack that I rocked on repeat for several months. But
I just remember it from the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only remember it from the scene. I did not have the soundtrack.
I didn't have the soundtrack either.
So this scene is cool. It sets up, it's her aunt. It's not her grandma.
Aunt Meg.
Aunt Meg.
It's Sookie Stackhouse's
Sookie Stackhouse's
aunt
grandma
from True Blood.
Yes.
So, I mean, I won't bother going into how annoying Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is in this movie.
Oh, he's the worst.
He's so terrible. Like, why do they continually leave poor Melissa with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
With Rusty.
Rusty. He's just so
I love that.
annoying.
You left him with Rusty?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
What the hell is wrong with you? We've got one other girl on this team you can,
I mean,
at least give her to her.
They're singing show tunes in the car. That station wagon where they're singing Oklahoma looks like the funnest car of the entire caravan.
Finishing each other's.
Little verses. Although, is that the truck that has the camper on the back that is woefully unstable? Because they're
oh my god, it's so unstable. Every time they go around a sharp corner, it looks like it's about to fall off.
And I'm like, what do you have in this camper? It can't still be on the shelves because
I don't even know if they have anything in it.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem like it's stable.
Empty. So they all go and ingratiate themselves at Aunt Meg's house, and she's making full on T-bone steaks and and fried eggs.
Yeah, and mashed potatoes and gravy and this whole huge spread. Which, I mean, that is a Southern aunt thing.
Yeah.
That that's just what you do if you are the group aunt,
right?
/ maternal figure in Oklahoma. You have steaks ready, and you always have a reserve of mashed potatoes and gravy just in case your family comes over, and you just keep on replenishing that.
She had those ready at a moment's notice.
I need some more mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah, I was going to say she probably has. She probably has several, a refrigerator and a full freezer in the garage, stocked with just meats,
grilled potatoes.
Yeah,
yep. Ready to go.
I just always thought it was breakfast only because they were like frying eggs in the pan with the steaks. But I was like, I don't know. Who knows? Mashed potatoes? Who even knows?
Like, they talk about Aunt Meg's gravy and how it's basically its own food group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're close to whichever city starts with a W.
Wakita.
Yeah. I think secretly Aunt Meg is just buying gallons of KFC gravy and passing it off as her own.
Probably.
Gotta make it easy.
Passing it off as her own.
Apparently, so... You know how, like, in the North, when we order French fries at a restaurant or at a drive-thru something, like, you ask for ranch, like that's your side. Well, in Oklahoma, at all of the drive-ins and everything, you get fries with a side of gravy.
Oh wow!
So it is
poutine.
It is delicious.
Sure.
Like, you get fried chicken with a side of gravy. I mean, so like every single grandma/elderly aunt has their own gravy recipe. So
I love that. And I also love Aunt Meg is just this like metallurgist, like artist.
She's like a hippy dippy artist, and that that's paid off later in the movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives her the warning.
Yeah, I think that she's also yet another lesbian character. In
Oh,
this movie.
Definitely.
Sure.
She's like passing down like her wisdom onto Joe. I love that moment. I love that moment where they're sort of reflecting that Joe still isn't completely over Bill.
Yeah.
And she says the line about, oh man, what did she say?
That he didn't keep his part of the promise or whatever.
Keep his part of the bargain of the marriage vows.
Yeah.
Seems like old times.
Yeah, with everybody downstairs. I love the setup and the payoff of her like weird front lawn, metal art. And she also has like guys at her house that are like helping her like make this stuff because it's like that shit's probably tough. Welding and all that.
Yeah, she's so amazing. She just has people want to be there around her all the time. She's incredible. Yeah.
Well, and it kind of makes sense, like, because you see on the sign once Wakita is destroyed, like Wakita, like population of 550 people or whatever. So in a town that small, she probably has some young, strapping neighbor boys who come over and help this.
Yeah.
Single by choice, like grandmother type, do her metal artwork, and then she repays them in chicken and gravy.
Sure. Although I don't know that, like, being an artist in a town that size is financially wise.
Oh God, no! Money makes no sense here because she's got this like huge house.
Yeah,
and
she probably has some sort of a storefront where she sells all of it.
Yeah.
In a town of 500 people, though,
everybody has one piece and they're good.
I don't know if that's very sustainable, though.
Yeah.
No, it's not a sustainable model.
No,
and it's not lucrative in a town like that because even a town where we grew up. That wasn't lucrative either.
Yeah.
I feel like once Joe's aunt's house is decimated, she's gonna rent like an RV and she's just gonna like travel the Midwest.
Sure. She can move to like Sedona, Arizona, and there she could set up like a gallery where you can buy the wind chimes and all of that stuff. Yeah. And it would sell like hotcakes.
And she'll meet another voluntarily single woman.
I was gonna say pass her like motherly wisdom onto another younger lesbian.
Maybe she's just like has like groves of like weed growing like behind the house that we just didn't see that she's selling.
I could see that too. Yeah.
And then she does the turquoise jewelry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, man.
Maybe that's why Rusty is so excited about going there, is because he knows he can replenish his stock.
There you go. I think we've got a handle on the Aunt Meg sequel.
the Aunt Meg like limited Hulu series.
Yeah, a 10 episode
Aunt
series.
Meg goes to Sedona. Twister 2
becomes. I was going to say I've already in my mind recast the Bill Paxton character just with Kristen Stewart.
I thought that he was perfect for that. I think that he would be perfect for that.
we can even keep in Helen Hunt. It can just be a
Kristen Stewart today, but with 96 era Helen Hunt.
I mean,
yes.
I mean,
oh
it
my
can
God.
be with, it can be with with 2020 Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Bring back Helen Hunt with anything.
Yeah. So
Like-
at some point, I think they leave Aunt Meg. We have the craziness at the drive-in, and then it's that big twister that takes out Aunt Meg's house, right?
So,
because they just left her, so they're
Yeah.
still kind of in the vicinity.
I went to this movie at the Lewistown Drive-In. So I saw this movie at the drive-in.
Same.
I want to say even the tornado that came through Lewistown even did some damage at our drive-in, I think.
It did.
I think it did, yeah.
I think it took off some of the screen.
It did do some of the screen, and at the base of it too, and so they had to replace that, which was tough for a small town.
Yeah.
I even know what movie they were showing that night at the drive-in because I remember hearing it over the radio that it was canceled. Do you remember what it was? Because I do.
I don't remember the movie.
It was Wild
No, it
Wild
wasn't.
West starring Will Smith. Was the movie that
my
was
God,
showing at the
really?
drive-in. I just have a weird memory of listening to the radio for updates when I was with my dad because we were in Upper Spring Creek camping, I think, and us listening to the radio, and they did come over the radio saying that the evening showing of Wild Wild West was canceled due to a tornado.
Of course it was. Of course it was. It should have been.
I know it should never have been showing on that screen. So this, So this drive-in movie theater is showing a revival of The Shining.
Yeah.
On this dark and stormy
Which
night.
Pete and I have been going to some drive-in revivals. We just went to Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. I would love to see The Shining at the drive-in.
Yeah, it's kind of long for a drive-in. You'd probably only get one showing. You wouldn't get a double feature because it's kind of long.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get there's some really cool special effects shots of like when there's lightning behind the screen and you can see the tornado.
Yeah.
Because it's nighttime. That's kind of fun.
That's
I think they did a really good job with the visuals in
And
this.
especially that the tornado is going through the screen when Jack is
Trying to get through
axing
the
when
door.
Jack's
Here's Johnny.
axing the door.
Yeah. I did remember I did notice on this viewing that for 96, I mean, I guess we're kind of giving it, the benefit of its age, but the special effects are pretty good. Like, they age pretty well.
It does help that they're dark, that there's a lot to be forgiven, that it's a dark tornado.
Well, just in this scene, but I mean, overall, I think they're still pretty good, even the ones in the daytime.
For the time it was.
Yeah.
They're excellent.
So I want to know, did they legitimately, drop a house on the road for that Dodge truck to drive through? Because it kind of seemed like they, dropped a whole-ass house
It looked
on
like
a highway
I believe-
and had them drive through it.
I believe they did. And it rolls. Like the house fully rolls. And I feel like I remember seeing behind the scenes stuff. It might have even been on the VHS. But I feel and I feel like it was just like the skeleton of the house. And it rolled in and then they just crashed the truck into it. And I think on the shot where it comes out the other side, that's CG. I think that explosion out of the side of the house is a CG explosion, and then it's the truck just going over a little ramp onto the road.
Okay.
But I think they did fully just roll some house.
They did, and what they used was, I remember seeing this too, Pete. So they used just those huge wind tunnel blowers.
Yeah.
To make that roll across the highway, but yeah, they did the same. Yeah, they just
insane.
put that house on there. And
That's insane. I love the stuff that they did with throwing around these giant objects just to give you the sense of how crazy tornadoes are. Because I mean, I don't know what the hell tornado. I just feel like I see the Wizard of Oz, or you see the destruction on the news, but you never see. There's never footage of a tornado because nobody can ever get that close.
Never footage of cows.
I gotta go. We got cows.
We got cows. Her delivery in that scene is so amazing. Here, we're going to listen to a bit of it.
I love it.
Can't attack this thing from the south. We're gonna get rolled.
Watch me.
I know you're upset. You just gotta breathe. We both just gotta breathe. Cal, I gotta
think that was the same one.
Another cow.
We got cows.
We got cows.
Oh, mercy.
Iconic.
My favorite line from the whole movie.
Yeah. So after all the craziness at the drive-in where the one character...
It's very like Universal Studios stunt spectacular. It's like when you go see Waterworld at Universal and they like fly the plane into the tank.
Yeah.
That's what this whole scene feels like.
Yeah. Because there's like a car that like flies into the garage that they're taking shelter
I actually
in.
think the Twister ride at Universal was pretty much this scene.
It was a Twister ride?
Yeah, it was like an immersive ride that they like shit was flying at you.
Oh, I don't
we'll
remember.
post a.
What year was that?
I want to say it was probably like 98, and I feel like it just closed like last year at Universal.
I don't remember. I was at Universal in 2012, and it's a very good chance I just didn't see it. But we had like the Mummy ride and everything, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
I would have gone on
there was a Twister ride.
Sure.
I'm not sure which park it was.
Maybe it was at Florida.
Yeah, it was at Florida.
Oh, okay. That's why.
Yeah, it was at Universal Studios Florida.
Okay, not
That's
LA.
awesome.
Well, so after this is where we go back to Aunt Meg's house, where her house fully like gets devoured into the earth, like at the end of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
This set's pretty impressive though when you watch it.
Yeah, it is because that looks all practical. That house falling apart around them.
Yeah.
That looks pretty cool.
They saved the golden retriever, which is the most important part.
Gotta save the dog.
Yes. And this is where they get their idea for Dorothy for all her little like electrodes to fly through the air because
metalwork.
Yeah, because of that metalwork art, installations. Because Dorothy wouldn't work like the first 2 times. We lost 2.
She couldn't quite make it up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she didn't go in the Jeep truck,
right?
And then. When they just had it out on the highway, they couldn't get it wouldn't take it out. It wasn't heavy
the
enough.
log took it out.
Fly up.
And Helen Hunt has her big diva moment with her big speech that we played at the top of the episode. It's my favorite part of the movie.
Because she has this weird, as we saw in the intro in the early 60s where the first tornado took her dad, which... By the way, all he had to do is let go of that door.
Yeah.
And
also,
walk inside.
What kind of storm, tornado cellar, has that, little tiny hotel room latch on the door?
Yeah.
Come on. What... You have a bolt on the door.
This guest bathroom latch that they have on the storm cellar.
It was fully
guest bathroom latch is exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it took the door off with him with it, but, her and her mom are 4 feet away, and they're totally fine.
Yeah, so had you just let go and backed away and huddled with them back, you would have been fine.
Yeah.
And the dog.
And the dog.
And
they got Toto in.
The dog that looks like Toto.
Toki.
They got the dog in, so, yeah.
So, from here on, this starts her, obsession with the tornadoes, but every time she gets close to one, she, needs to, get out and go look at it. She needs to she wants to see it. She wants to see inside of it and all that stuff.
She's looking for closure her entire life.
Or it's her fascination with death.
Sure.
Ooh.
She wants to look into its eyes. You're right, Amy. This tornado is like a giant metaphor. Jamie Gertz was right that she just assumed that Bill was talking in metaphors when he used to say that he used to chase tornadoes.
Chase storms, yeah.
In this Twister represents a lot.
Sure.
There's a lot of themes going on.
Yes. And one of the themes is brought to you by PepsiCo.
Yes.
Because all of the little flyer things are Pepsi cans.
So many cans of Pepsi. And Diet Pepsi.
And Dodge.
Yeah. And caffeine-free Pepsi. So we get our montage of them cutting out the little, the little propellers to put on each and every one of those little spheres inside Dorothy 3 and 4.
Yep.
And they have, gardening gloves on because they're all getting, crazy, paper cuts. It looks terrible.
Yep. Yeah. Seems really like it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. And all the while, we keep cutting back to the corporate shills. And as much as they give Bill, like, shit about how they don't respect him or whatever, they keep following him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, but finally, when it gets to, like, the real shit, our real F5 tornado.
Which, this F5 tornado, I mean, I don't know what tornadoes look like. This mother is gigantic. Like, I almost feel like they kind of cheated the scope of it a little bit just so it would read impressive on film. But it is just, like, it's huge.
Well, they keep...
They say it's a mile wide.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. They keep saying... They say it like 2 or 3 times.
I mean, I guess it is an F5.
Yeah. And, is this the one where the big, gasoline, petroleum truck comes flying at them and
blows up and blows up. Yep. And they drive through the fire, but the Dodge truck is totally fine.
Without a scratch.
Thanks, Dodge.
There are a couple of inconsistencies with crashes on the windshield.
Yes. They get like a branch or something on the windshield, and then they drive through it, and then 3 seconds later, that crack is no longer there.
Yeah. Well, the crack was right in front of, like, the driver's side windshield, so I guess they couldn't have it there forever, but
they were probably working with multiple trucks, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Totally.
And also... I mean,
I noticed that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but we are 4 people who have seen this movie multiple times.
Yes, this is true, yes.
So we noticed those things. I actually noticed at the start of our viewing today, when we first get introduced to Bill and Melissa, and more importantly, the red Dodge Ram, it's a helicopter shot. The truck is driving on a highway, and the camera zooms in closer, and it goes right into, so you could see them in the cab of the truck. I noticed on our TV you could see a reflection of the helicopter in that paint job.
Really?
Yeah.
If you have
noticed that too.
If you have a nice TV, you can clock it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
The paint job on that truck is so cherry.
Oh, it's glossy as fuck. Yeah,
a beautiful truck.
It is. We can't say enough about it. This episode is not sponsored.
Cherry red.
We're not sponsored by Dodge Ram. We would gladly be, though.
We would gladly take one.
So they try to do one of the Dorothys. They take it off the back of the truck. It gets the wind kicks it over. It's not heavy enough. So they decide they got to anchor it. And this is like their last chance. What are we going to do? It's not strong enough to go up on its own. And they're like, Dread Pirate Roberts is closer. So let's just tell him what he needs to do. And at least we can have a successful, at least we'll get the data.
Because that's like what solid people they are.
Yes, they're the pure scientists.
They don't care about taking credit for it. They just want they just want the information.
About the science.
Yes.
They care about the science, and they eventually want to help people with like tornado research.
So this is when we get to this shitty scene where they're calling him on the CB, and he's just like, "Oh, fuck you guys. Like, you're trying to help me, get off the line or whatever." And Bill Paxton fully addresses the driver directly, like Joe or whatever. He's like, "Joe, like, I know you can hear me. Like, stop. You're like driving in the way." And like Carrie always turns off the thing. And like fucking Joe fully gets like Final Destination with this.
Final Destination 2.
Yeah.
He gets that log through the windshield, man.
And he was the one who was saying we should listen to him. That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was an innocent party in all this.
Yeah.
And it was the Dread Pirate Robert who was really gung-ho about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got a raw deal in it, but...
Totally.
Yeah. And then everyone gets sucked up by the tornado.
Oh, man, yeah. I feel like multiple of their cars get sucked up by the tornado, right? Like, not just theirs.
No, everyone in that party died.
Oh, my God.
Did they get the whole line of cars that were parked?
That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy.
The entire line does.
Oh, my God.
Just so you guys know, an F5 can get up to 2.6 miles.
Holy shit.
So, that 1 mile
That's
is
crazy.
a small F5.
Well, fuck my drag.
Right? Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, so they all get swept up in the tornado, but we actually see the Dread Pirate Robert's truck fly up and then get kicked out and blow the hell up, and they're just all like, damn you.
Yeah, that's what you get for going for corporate sponsorship, you son of a bitch.
So this is where they decide they need to keep Dorothy 4 now strapped inside the truck. The truck will be strong enough. And they like hide in this crazy...
They get to like a farm.
I love the barn.
That's pretty much the farm from Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, I think it's probably the same one.
Slaughterhouse tools everywhere. I mean...
Like Leatherface is fully like set up camp in this barn.
Yeah. I mean... It's just the stereotypical like horror movie. Like, we'll be safe in this barn, and then you look around and there are all these instruments of torture.
Yeah, all of these sharp objects that can fly at you.
But ultimately, they leave the barn because it's too like dangerous. There's some really cool stuff of them like running across like the prairie or whatever, and like dodging debris and like ducking down and like all this crazy stuff that's flying towards them. Now, I know a lot of people had issues with the way that they finally kind of, like, survive.
They anchor themselves on that well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they use the horse halters, and they secure themselves to the water line, which goes deep underground.
Makes sense,
like it's not going to get ripped out by this
pretty
tornado.
anchored. Yeah, that's anchored pretty deep.
Yeah. So the water line is anchored deep. The leather is strong, but our like fleshy human bodies would probably get ripped right through the leather belts.
They'd get ripped the fuck apart by all the debris that's flying around this 1 mile wide tornado. Yeah, there is going to be some stuff that gets ripped. So we were in Florida during a hurricane. And we went out to go and check the stuff the next day, and there are literally shingles skewered
on
like rosebush stems. Like, and that's not for an F5 tornado.
Oh my God.
Mean, like, there would be stuff flying all over, like cutting them the fuck up, absolutely. But of course, they get out unscathed,
scot-free,
like nothing but great views of the inside of the tornado, and it dissipates as soon as it goes over them.
Oh yes, they're in the eye of it, and it just is like glorious internal shots with the weird internal like mini tornado inside of the big tornado, like all that stuff. And, the data immediately goes to their, like, crazy, 1996 laptops that are not plugged into anything, even for power.
Right. They're not plugged into anything. There's no Wi-Fi in this bitch.
No.
Not even, like, there's not even a cord that goes to, like, their cigarette lighter.
I mean,
It's just battery packs on those thick ass laptops connected to a satellite. That's all it is.
And that damn TV with the music.
playing Eric Clapton videos on a loop. But the data starts coming in immediately, and like, we did the job, yay, hooray, and they come out. And, we see that really cool shot at the end of, like, all the destruction, and that one crazy, like, Days of Heaven farmhouse is, like, sitting there
still
untouched.
Standing.
And the family comes out of their, storm shelter. And I love how 90s the kids look.
Yeah.
Like, they're...
Well, and of course, it's a young family with small kids who are, like, the same age that Joe was when she went through her F5. Mm-hmm. But... of course, they were spared.
Yes. Well, because I love in Wakita when she sees the family that gives her, like, PTSD because they look like her family did at the time. The mom is fully in the nightgown, little girl in the nightgown, dad in, like, full-on, cowboy dad outfit.
Yeah, with the trucker hat.
Yeah, and the Wranglers and the belt buckle and all that. But then this family at the end... they're a little bit more updated, and like I said, the kids, they're like little boys, and they fully like look super 90s with like big baggy t-shirts and like little shorts. I was like, oh my god, those kids
had parachute pants, and it's my only complaint about the whole movie.
Oh man, I have no complaints about this movie.
I love this movie so much.
So good.
But yeah, I feel like there's just something about it that I mean, yeah, like you said, it was the hugest movie of 96. Everybody, you know, in a certain age bracket saw it in the theater. I know it was like prolific at like, it was that time when VHS tapes for movies
they became affordable,
started to get super affordable, and you could just go to Costco and pick up a bunch of them.
Yep.
Also, this is at a time with summer blockbusters. This movie is not based on any property.
Yeah.
It's a high concept movie of this is going to be a big Spielbergian movie about tornadoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like they sold the script with a 10-page treatment without even a finished script. Like they sold it to Amblin with just the idea, and they gave it to Michael Crichton to write.
Yeah.
He was paid $2.5 million to write this screenplay. That was not based on anything. It was just a pitch to Spielberg.
Well, they just wanted to reproduce Jurassic Park.
Yeah. They wanted to reproduce Jurassic Park, but make it weather-related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a different source.
I love. It's just like, it's stuff that you never see studios take these type of chances.
And like, cheers to Michael Crichton for making, you know, the protagonist a female character. You know,
a female gay character who doesn't know she's gay yet.
Yes, she has way more shit to do than Ellie Sattler in Jurassic Park. Like she has way more of a character, of a story. You know,
and that's probably what made Helen Hunt want to sign on to the movie.
Yeah.
It's like a writer development and a character development at the same time.
Yeah, totally. And it's like you can kind of sell it both ways. Like you can fully just be like, well, Bill Paxton is the hero and he's like this rugged guy and he drives this, you know, gigantic truck and all of that. But really when you watch it, it's Joe's movie.
She's the one that you walk away with with her story.
Yeah, it's her story for sure.
Ever and ever.
And I feel like in this, I mean, we talked about this the last time that we had the podcast together, but I feel like this era of late 90s, this was like the last time where you had these innovative, original concept movies that were just huge blockbusters.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, like, after that, into the 2000s, it's all kind of like remakes or
sequels
based on comic books or, you know, something like that. But back then, it was all about the story. And I feel like this has a really good story to it.
Yeah. Totally. It has the emotional meat to really carry it through.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, but with tornadoes.
Yeah. And lesbians.
I love it.
Yeah, so I just think it's really cool that I feel like it's kind of getting, there's kind of something in the air right now with people remembering it and talking about it.
Did you guys see that clip for an interview that Helen Hunt and Paul Reiser were doing? They did like a reboot of Mad About You last year, and the guy that was doing the interview, clearly a gay guy, and he's just like, oh, bitch. I told all my friends that I was coming to interview you, and they all said to say, Helen Hunt made me gay in Twister. And she was just like, what? like, come again? And then it was funny because it's cute in the interview that Helen Hunt gets the joke, and she's just like, well, that was clearly our motivation.
Yeah.
For the entire making of Twister was to
I love Helen Hunt.
And I feel like this is one of those, like, there aren't a lot of movies that span the gay community for both gay men and gay women. Yes. But this absolutely does, because
we can all agree on it.
I mean, I modeled and still model my fashion choices after Joe and Twister. And I feel like there's a few like Wild Fang like photo shoots that are based on Joe and Twister, and like,
I love it.
It's just one of those that everyone can really relate to. Like it made everyone gay, even if they don't want to admit it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been marriage proposals. There was a meteorologist who got proposed to
in front of a tornado.
His husband in front of a tornado because they love the movie Twister so much. Yeah, we'll post a photo of it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that Joe, like, it has a romantic storyline, but Joe never plays it as the woman who's seeking out a romantic storyline. Like, she's, like, it's, I'm just going to do my thing for the love of science.
Yeah.
And this is what I love to do, but this romantic storyline is kind of secondary. And I think that was really revolutionary for female characters back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they were all written as, like, your primary motivation is that you are seeking your man. And that was not her primary motivation, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The whole, like, pure science angle that we keep going back to is, that's really strong through line through this. And it almost feels like she's very much has this attitude with Bill that's just like, okay, you're back. That's cool. Like, granted, it's to, like, get the divorce papers signed or whatever, but she's like, if you're going to be here, I'm going to put you to work.
Yeah.
Because I've got shit to do, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like, you're back in my world now. So if you're going to be in my world, I'm running this show, and she's clearly running the show.
Yeah. You can be here, but I need to use your truck.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting, the power dynamic, because while a lot of the crew are very much like, welcome back, and, like, calling him, like, boss or chief or whatever, but, like, they've kind of adopted calling Joe boss, because when they say it on the CB, like, both of them go and reach for it. Because she's like, well, you've been gone, dude, so, like, this is my gig now. So, so we're clearly dropped into her world, you know, and she's just, like, in charge. So
yeah, she's the HBIC, the head bitch in charge.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, just very, very interesting. This queer following that this, like,
I love it
movie has.
Yeah,
I feel like
I love this movie. I still love this movie.
We need to start printing Twister T-shirts.
Yeah,
with Helen Hunt on them.
We need to start a campaign to get, like, a 4K transfer so we can.
Absolutely.
Some Joe T-shirts.
Oh man,
just Joe.
Yeah,
merch.
just Joe.
Yeah.
We don't need Bill in this. We just need Joe.
We can get.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yellow
God.
Jeep truck.
We can, like, figure out some kind of, like, a Joe cosplay situation, but just, like, maybe Joe and Melissa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. I'm so in to do that.
Oh man.
We'll all go chase tornadoes together.
Oh man. That'd
or
be so
we
great.
can, like, my thing after this movie was I wanted to make a band that was called the Storm Chasers. This was my.
Oh, I'd love it. Would it be like a lesbian, like, punk band?
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, when I was like 11, it was just this open.
11?
Yeah, it was just this open concept that I would have a band called the Storm Chasers.
I love it. A riot girl
we were in
band.
elementary school. Yeah.
That's great.
Do we have any last thoughts about Twister?
I know. I feel like we've kind of talked about our final thoughts about
and it's
this
one of those
movie.
movies that sometimes I pick these movies and then I have a second thought. I'm just like, does this really fit the theme? And then it's just
No,
sort
this
of.
fits our
but
theme.
then as you start talking about it, of course it fits the theme of the show.
Yeah, this definitely fits the theme of our show for several reasons. I just love the idea that all of the people involved in this movie made it with zero clue that in 20 years it would have this, like, weird.
Such an impact. Such an impact.
Yeah, like, it's just got this crazy queer following. I don't know, maybe there are some people on board that were like, when they were making it, they were just like, oh no, she's playing this character a little gay.
They probably had like a lesbian costumer that sort of had an eye for it.
Scott, do you know who did the wardrobe for this movie?
No.
Oh, we'll have to find.
I thought you'd have that in your
no.
pocket, just ready to go.
He can look it up on the IMDb's.
Because I do. I wonder if it's a lesbian wardrobe artist.
But you know, what else are they going to put Joe in?
Sure.
You know, like, I feel like
she's a woman on the go.
It's utilitarian, you know, for her.
Yeah. And I like that they didn't try to doll her up at all.
Yeah.
Like, they put her in work clothes because she's out working.
Yeah.
And they didn't, like, she's not wearing tons of makeup. She doesn't have her hair all up and done. It's, like, messy. And, like, she wears a tank top underneath her coveralls, and that's what she wears because she's out doing shit, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And
I
also,
like
you know, the Melissa character is kind of there to give you this like antithesis, mirror image.
Contrast.
Yeah, contrast. Thank you.
The costumer did a lot of costumer did a lot of movies with Jan de Bont. She ended up doing The Haunting. She did Face Off.
The Haunting, where
where she did Showgirls.
She.
This is from the costumer of Showgirls, by the way.
Oh shit!
A Perfect Murder, Hollow Man. So she works with Paul Verhoeven a lot. She's done Maleficent. Yeah. Behind the Candelabra with Soderbergh.
Okay, these are all very powerful female-driven projects that she's worked on.
Oh, I know what my final thoughts are going to be of the movie. So
tell us.
We've just been home alone bored, and all that we can do is just drink on our couch. So we've been watching old MTV Movie Award shows on YouTube. They're on there. Look them up.
Like the entire broadcast.
The entire broadcast of the MTV Movie Awards broadcast. And I'll say, like, the movie awards in the mid-'90s were kind of the shit. Like, they were, like, exciting award shows that got some motherfucking movie stars to go.
And for this year, so this was released in 96, so this was it the 97 movie awards?
This was the 97 movie awards.
And
so
the best movie category
was
out like on fire.
Control. So it was Scream ended up winning it. It was Scream, Independence Day, The Rock.
Yeah. Twister.
Twister. I don't think Twister is best movie, but it should have been. And also like Men in Black. But just like movies that just had a staying power about them.
Yeah.
That just like
I
a lot of
watched The Rock recently and fucking loved it.
Yeah.
But it's just like people like 1999, that movie year is talked about a lot, but 1996 had some bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that all of those were out in 96.
Yeah.
Like Men in Black. Yeah. Independence Day is still amazing.
Yeah,
Men in Black.
so good.
Yeah. I mean, Scream is still one of my all-time favorite like horror genre movies.
Shout out to our Scream episode.
We
just did it last week.
Yeah, we just reviewed Scream. So, yeah, I mean, this is one of those movies that, like, if you haven't seen it, where have you been? Like, you need to watch.
Especially for our younger listeners, too.
Yeah.
Like, track this movie down. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good to just watch with a group of friends and just talk about it.
Yeah,
it's fun. And it's not something that you compare to anything else because nothing else
is
on
like
this
it.
scale has been done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was that movie that came out, Into the Storm. Do you remember that? Which was sort of the
spiritual sequel.
The Twister knockoff, but instead of Storm Chasers, I want to say that it was Richard Armitage from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I want to say that he was a high school science teacher. But very forgettable.
Yep.
Nobody remembers it.
And there's also The Perfect Storm.
Yes, with George Clooney.
Yes, George Clooney.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
But that's
terribly sad for
out on
everyone
the
involved.
ocean. Yeah.
Well, also in 1997, there was the Volcano movies. So there was just sort of a
natural disaster. Craze
in the late 90s.
You could say this kind of started that off, sparked that craze. Mm-hmm. Volcano and Dante's Peak are both inferior to Twister.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was, because there's, what year did, like, Day After Tomorrow and all those?
Those were
like,
04.
Yeah.
04? Okay,
Yeah.
so it was long after this. There was also a year of all apocalypse movies.
Yep,
like
98 Dante's, or 98 Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yeah. After that, like, there were a lot of Armageddon, the world is ending because of a comet striking the earth kind of movies.
Probably the success of a movie like Twister ended, like, that's probably how a movie like Armageddon got greenlit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this movie it's iconic. It's legendary. We definitely recommend you go out and watch it if you haven't already.
It's always on and off streaming, too.
Yeah, it's usually on something.
It's either on Netflix. I think that we saw it on the Peacock app.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is on Peacock, and Peacock is free right now, so you can go and stream it there. Or you can probably just rent it for a couple of dollars on iTunes or Amazon.
Yeah.
But you should own it just like we do. We picked up a cheap DVD.
Yeah, we bought
it. Picked up a cheap Blu-ray. Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
We will have you on.
It's good to see you.
Yeah,
we
definitely.
will have you on eventually to talk about Julia Stiles and 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, for sure.
Because I feel
AKA
like
the movie that I can quote from top to bottom because I watched it over and over
there
again.
is a
as
lot to
teenager.
unpack
Love it.
with that character that needs a whole episode of just us talking
Oh my
about the lesbian icon that is Julia Stiles.
Yeah, just Cat. That's it.
Oh, Cat. With a K.
Yep.
Oh, man. Well, this has been so much fun and really amazing. It was great to see you. Thanks for coming on our show.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. We'll
Thank
see
you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
You bet.
On the next America's Next Top Model. Oh, never mind.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Movies That Made Us Gay.
Yes.
We would love it if you would rate and review our show on iTunes. You should always give us 5 stars.
Definitely.
And you should also write us a review.
We need more reviews. Give us one.
Reviews. If you write us reviews on iTunes, it helps our show to kind of get recognized and show up on more platforms, especially on iTunes. And if you do write us a review, we will read your review on the next episode. How about that? How about that? We'll read out your entire review in the next episode if it's positive. And
it's gotta be positive.
give you a little shout out there. So we love all of our fans and keep on giving us 5 stars and start writing us new reviews, everybody.
Our Patreon site will be launching very, very soon.
Yes, indeed.
We just recorded our first movie commentary.
Yes, we did, and it was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I was kind of nervous of how it would play back, but we tested it out, and it kind of works.
Yes, indeed. It worked really well.
Yeah.
So our first movie commentary track is ready to go for our patrons, and we will be launching our Patreon site very soon. We would love it if you would support us on Patreon. There are several tiers for you to decide upon. And if you don't want to do a monthly thing through Patreon, you don't have to. We'll post our Venmo, and you can send us a tip.
Yeah.
Just to help us keep the podcast up and running, because podcasting ain't free. So anything that you give to us, anything that you donate or tip us will be put directly into keeping this podcast on the air and keep bringing new episodes to you every week. We've been doing this every week, you guys.
Yeah, we've been going pretty hard, especially during the quarantine,
Yes,
just
indeed.
because we partly need something to keep us occupied.
Yeah, for sure. This has been
Keep us from
helping.
going crazy.
For sure, for sure. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you very, very soon.
Bye.
Bye.